All right, so today I wanted to talk about some thoughts I have on faith. No, not the George Michael song from the 80s or the fantastic Limp Bizkit cover from the 90s, which I've jammed out to in the gym plenty of times, but faith in general. And as I started going down or looking at going down kind of this rabbit hole that I'm on of, whatever, introspection or self-discovery you want to call it, which admittedly is in its infancy, I definitely think there was a few concerns there before going into it. Number one, it's like, inevitably you're going to dig up some stuff if you're kind of really getting into yourself that you don't really want to face or deal with, but that you need to try to become a more complete and whole person. But number two, I think there was a concern that it might rattle my faith in a higher power, in God. And not that I've ever been a devout Christian by any means or anything like that. I mean, I did go to church growing up and all that, but I do have my beliefs. And there's, you can kind of become protective of those, because if those get shattered, then you have a whole existential crisis, that I really don't want to deal with. Because the last thing I would want to do is go down a path that leads towards nihilism. But you know what? These are kind of the fears that you have to overcome and dive head first in and face. And fortunately for me, what I've found so far is, as I've been kind of digging and reading and asking myself questions, is that it hasn't tarnished my faith. It's actually reaffirmed, if not solidified it. And so that's really cool. So I started thinking a lot about faith and how we are as a culture and how we've gotten away from faith in general, and in whatever. It doesn't have to be a Christian deity, or it could be anything. I mean, they're all, to me, Buddhism, Islam, Tao, they're all going to the same place. They're just speaking different tongues. I've heard somebody put it like that. So, and if you're an atheist, like, I don't know, we're just not on the same page, and we don't need to have an argument. No, I can't prove God's existence, but you can't disprove God's existence, so we'll just agree to disagree, and you can watch another video. So, and in thinking about how we've gotten away from faith, because I really do feel like we have, as a society, I look at a few things. And number one, I do think like the advent of technology and science and just this influx of knowledge that we have now over the past, maybe 100 to 150 years, has made us arrogant. We do know a lot, and we think we know a whole lot more than we actually do, especially when it comes to things like the unconscious mind, where God would exist and all that. We still really don't know much, but we have the illusion that we do, and we've gotten to the point where if something can't be proven definitively beyond a shadow of a doubt, then we tend to doubt it or just disavow it altogether. And that's a personal choice or whatever I tend to disagree with. But I also look at, as a culture, how we exist these days, and where our faith could be rattled just on how we view things as a society. And I think the fact that we are so ingrained for instant gratification these days, and I don't know that faith really works like that. Like, you send up a prayer and then automatically you get it back, like Amazon Prime. It doesn't really work like that. And the other thing is, I think we've been conditioned to chase happiness. And that's a problem, because I don't know that there's a lot of faith in chasing happiness. For example, I can go to Busch Gardens tomorrow, or I can buy a new car, or go to the bar tonight and have some drinks, and I'm going to be happy. But there's not, a whole lot to that. It's a fleeting emotion, and it comes and it goes. And oftentimes it's not necessarily entirely produced internally. It's relying on external circumstances or things. But that's kind of what we get conditioned to chase. And I'm just not sure that that's right. Now, where I think we should be guided to is chasing and pursuing purpose and fulfillment via pursuing our purpose. And I feel like my hypothesis is that faith and purpose are directly intertwined. And I'll tell you why. Because if you do believe in a God, certainly I wouldn't think anyone would cheapen a higher power to have created us to, pursue driving around a Range Rover or a Ferrari. I mean, and if you're praying for those kinds of things, well, your faith's not going to be rewarded, because I think God just kind of doesn't deal like that. My personal opinion. But when you pursue purpose, you're automatically just in doing that walking in faith, because you don't necessarily know how it's going to end. You don't see the how of everything. And there's a lot of fear and a lot of stuff to overcome in that. And that's why a lot of people don't seek purpose. And, most people simply exist. And, if you're simply existing and not following what you're called to do as a person or as God's creature, he really doesn't have much reason to reward you for that, right? I mean, you're not fulfilling your purpose. It's like, you think about the relationship of a parent and a child, right? Well, if I'm buying my kid a PlayStation 5 for doing nothing, even though I've asked him to do something, maybe clean his room or whatever it is, get better grades in school, and I just reward him for not even putting forth any effort, then, I mean, what's going to happen? The fact is, he's just going to be a spoiled brat, and he's not going to, continue to do anything or go the extra mile, because I haven't taught him that. And I think there's a lot to that. And I think people get jaded because they feel like, and I could be wrong, this is just me thinking, but people are jaded towards God because they feel like they're not being fulfilled, or they're not being, we have this sense of entitlement, we should be entitled to everything. And almost like God's not smiling on us if we're not blessed in the form that we think we should be blessed in. But I think maybe that's our fault. And then, so when you walk in purpose, or you're pursuing your purpose and you take action, then your faith is rewarding along the way, but you've got to pay first. See, we want payment for everything up front. Even when we look at working out, everyone wants to do the keto diet or whatever, because I can lose 5-10 pounds immediately without having to put in much work. Well, there's not really a whole lot to that, and it's not really sustainable. It's not real, right? So even in the Bible, I believe it's in the book of James, it says faith without works is dead. And to me, when I really think about that and kind of break it down, it's like, you have to pay the price first. And I heard one saying, and I don't remember where it was like, if you open all the doors that you can, then God will come in and open up the doors that you can't. And that really stuck with me. And what that said to me is you've got to pay the price first. You've got to not only have faith, speak faith, but actually walk in faith. And the thing about that is there's not always happiness in faith. Actually, there's a lot of suffering, a lot of doubt. I mean, there's a lot of problems and crises that come from trying to walk in faith and take those actions. So there alone, we can see that happiness isn't the end, but if we continue to pursue these things and give forth our best effort, then I feel like your faith is rewarded, and your faith is just magnified because you see these things manifesting. But it just takes a lot of courage and strength and everything to do that, and a lot of going against the grain. So those are just my thoughts on faith. I do think the two are, again, walking in purpose, finding your purpose, pursuing fulfillment rather than happiness, and fulfillment and maybe trying to make the world a better place, and trying to just in some way help other people along the way. Maybe that's the key to having your faith rewarded all along, and God will show you what he can do for you. But you've got to put some effort in first. And I think as a society, we've gotten away from that. We're bored and we're jaded and we're mad at God. He's our parent that didn't buy us the Christmas present we wanted, but we've acted like a brat all year. And we're not even walking in his plan. I mean, finish with this. The thing is, as long as you do believe in God, the fact, I think of it you're here, right? We're already born against, crazy odds as far as you look at the process of reproduction and all that. I've already given you life. I've given you the ability to go out and do something and follow a purpose and follow a path and be true to me. And if you're still asking for more before at least putting forth some effort on your own, can you blame the guy for not coming through for you? So that's it, my thoughts on faith. If y'all have any comments or anything, please let me know. Again, I'm not trying to get into a theological discussion. That's not a road I really want to go down. You have your beliefs, I have mine. Peace be with you. Have a great day.